Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia and I'm the owner of Alicia Be Creative. In today's tutorial, we are making this super cute and adorable composition notebook themed teacher tumbler. And of course, you guys know that I'm going to show you exactly how I put this cup together and all of the pieces that I added to this cup. So all the products that I use will be listed and linked in the description box down below, as well as any discount codes that I have for you to save some extra money. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's tutorial. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to be using a 40-ounce tumbler from Michaels. So typically I can get these at my local Michaels when they're on sale for like 10 bucks. And so the last time they were on sale, because normally they sell for like $19, $20. The last time these were on sale, I snagged like one of every color. And so we're going to use what we have versus buying something new. But if you have a 40-ounce tumbler, any style will do. It does not need to be this particular tumbler. All of the process for this cup is similar to any 40-ounce cup that you're going to use, whether it's a Stanley, whether it's a Big Betty, whether it's another 40-ounce dupe, whatever you have on hand. You can also do this on smaller cups, on different style cups. But we're going to go ahead and get our cup prepped. First process being, we're going to take that handle off. We don't want to epoxy the handle, or at least I preferably do not want to epoxy the handle for this cup. I like the black handled look because I feel like it goes with the composition notebook design. So we're going to prep our cup though as normal. After we removed the tag off the bottom, we're going to go ahead and sand this with a 60 grit sanding block, but any sanding block grit will do. And then once we have scuffed up that shine, we will clean this with a bit of rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. And like I always say, you can always alternatively go inside and use regular dish soap and water. Now what I'm going to do, just so that I don't end up painting over the sort of prongs here that help attach our handle, I'm just going to tape those off with my painter's tape. And I'm going to be doing this throughout the process to ensure that those stay free and clear of both epoxy and any paint or glitter that we're going to be applying to the cup. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint our tumbler. You could take this and spray paint it if you prefer to spray paint, but I'm going to use acrylic paint because I have it, and why not? So we're just going to do a coat of black acrylic paint here. This is just, I think this is Folk Art black paint that I have, but whatever you have, Apple Barrel, any other brand of acrylic paint will work. This is just going to be our base coat. It's not really going to do too much, and I'm actually only going to go in with one coat, so you don't even have to be like super thorough here necessarily, because the glitter that we're using is a beautiful mix, and it really could go on a black base. You could do it on a white base, but it has like metallic pieces in it too. So really all of that glitter is going to hide any imperfections in your paint layer when you glitter this. So I'm going to use Mod Podge to be my glue or my adhesive for my glitter here. Just using a soft bristled paintbrush, I'm going to apply a pretty generous coat of Mod Podge. For anybody who has been watching my channel long enough, you know that my preferred method is the epoxy method. But when I am going to be doing Mod Podge, especially if I'm going to be doing such a large cup as such, I typically will layer on a little bit more Mod Podge onto cups like this, just to ensure that my glue doesn't dry on me before I want it to. So the glitter we're using for today is called Jack. I have used this in a previous tutorial, the Snow Globe tutorial, the Jack and Sally Snow Globe tutorial that I did a few months ago. I used this glitter. It was part of the Nightmare bundle from Baddie Glitter. This glitter is still currently available to purchase by itself, but if you don't have this glitter, or you don't have the opportunity to purchase it, certainly just grab any sort of black, chunky black, a white, opaque, and like a silver, and you will get a really pretty mix that will be perfect for a composition notebook style cup, which we're making today. So we're going to thoroughly cover the cup, tap off any excess, make sure we've got the butt of this cup nice and glittered as well, and then I let that dry for about 40 minutes to an hour. I myself typically will seal my cups just for the sake of wanting to make sure that I don't transfer any glitter from one cup to another cup that I'm epoxying at the same time. And then, so a couple coats of clear spray, then on the turner for a few coats of epoxy. So I did use Fast Set from Flint Sister Supply Shop. And what I ended up doing is I did about, I want to say I did 3 coats, 30 mLs each time, just to make sure I had a smooth surface and I didn't have to do a lot of sanding. Once I get to the sanding process, what I did do is I sand the top rim since it's pretty smooth, and I did end up needing to use my Dremel, my little nail file tool that I use just around those areas where the prongs meet for the handle. And that was just because I got a little lazy on the last coat of epoxy and I didn't cover those prongs up with painter's tape, which I do recommend you do for each and every layer of epoxy because it leaves those areas really clean. It just makes it easy in the sanding process. That way you don't have to try and sand around those areas. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our decal. So this decal sheet, this is the teacher decal sheet that is available on my website. Was just recently released, so definitely snag it while you can. Should this decal sheet sell out, I will restock it because I do think that this is going to be one that is pretty popular for just teacher-themed anything. You do not have to use these UV DTF decals on just cups. You can certainly use them on, I think they'd be super cute on a clipboard, on notebooks for teachers. There's just so much versatility. Keychains, there's so much versatility with these kinds of things, and I love it. So we're going to be just using this entire decal sheet all the way around the cup. I started with, of course, the Composition Notebook decal right in front, which can be where you'd put a name to personalize this. And then I start with the larger elements and just kind of space those around the cup. This is a smooth surface that I'm working on, so I'm really just applying wherever there is empty space. And because these are UV DTF, even if I don't have sort of a perfectly smooth section, like I didn't have one perfectly under the handle, that UV DTF is going to cover it up and you're not even going to know that there's a little lumpy bumpiness happening there that will be fixed in the final coats. Then I go in with the smaller hearts just to fill up all of that space there. These are great space fillers. I do have a smaller decal sheet of this same print and pattern in like a 16-ounce file that you can purchase on my website as well. And you can get the Composition Notebook decals separate as well. So if you wanted to do this on a smaller cup, you can certainly do that as well. So we are finished with our application of the decals. Quick, simple, and easy. Probably took me all of 5 minutes to do, but no one wants to watch me put them on for 5 minutes, of course. We're going to get ready for our final coats of epoxy so that we can be done with the epoxying process of this cup. And I'm going to, once again, take my painter's tape. This is 1/2-inch painter's tape. And we're just going to cover up those prongs that will be where our cup goes or where our cup handle goes on the cup, to make sure that those don't get epoxied over when I am epoxying. I'm finally going to seal these. So I love to seal my UV DTF with polyacrylic. You could use just Mod Podge too as well. You don't have to use polyacrylic. It's just my preferred method, but I do like to seal these just because sometimes with UV DTF, because of the ink that's used for these prints, sometimes your epoxy can repel. And so I don't want to have to struggle with that process. So we're going to go ahead and seal these. Once I've sealed them, I do allow that polyacrylic to dry for about 20 minutes. Doesn't take very long because you're doing such a very thin coat over it that it really shouldn't take very long to dry before you can move on to your epoxy layer. So now we're on our turner and we are going to epoxy. So we are using Flint Sisters Artist Cure at this point. And so ideally we would do 2 final coats of Artist Cure over the top of these decals. I am, for the sake of this tutorial, only going to add 1 because once this item is purchased, in case there is the person who's purchasing it wants to add the customized name on the front of this, I don't want to have an additional layer of epoxy that I don't need, because then I would just obviously add the name, then do the final coat, because I do like to do 2 final coats of epoxy. So we're just going to apply our epoxy. I mixed up a lot of epoxy in my cup here because I was doing multiple cups. So I think I probably used anywhere from 25 to 30 mLs in this first initial coat. I did sign the bottom, of course, to sort of sign my work. But now the final piece that we'll do as far as the cup goes is we're going to reapply our handles. So just re-screw the handle back to the cup. I will tell you that if you tape your handles, like the prongs for your handles every time, you won't have an issue getting your handle back on. If you're like me and you get a little lazy in one coat and you forget to do so, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time because you're going to have to sand that area to make sure it's flat, so that your handle will go back on flat against the cup without any gap. So just keep that in mind. Definitely, if you're going to be keeping that handle free of glitter and epoxy, you know, take the time to tape those sections off. So now, because I couldn't just be done with this cute cup, even though it was adorable, I went to Amazon and I decided I wanted to add some things to this cup. So I did pick out this cute little checkered boot, which you're seeing right here. And then I picked out these faux leather pieces. It's like crafting leather. Not real leather, but it came in this really beautiful bundle of all these different shades of black and styles black, matte black, shiny black, like this studded with like this pink fleck and gold fleck. They were just super cute. So I decided that I was going to make a cute little bow topper for this cup. And so I'm going to show you how I put that together. Okay, so I am going to create a cute little like bow straw topper for this cup that we're working on currently. So I got this SVG bow design. I believe I got it from Etsy. I've used it in a tutorial before and I will link it down in the description box. But what I've done is uploaded this SVG into Cricut Design Space after opening Cricut. Now I'm selecting this item and I want to be able to resize these individually and really make sure that this is all going to like match together, like go together. So my initial like template here, that's about 5.5 inches. So I feel like that is going to be too big. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to resize this a little bit, go back to the largest part and determine if that is a decent size. So about 5 inches is going to give me about a 2.5 inch bow. Because you're going to be folding these corners in to the middle, okay? So you can go a little bit bigger if you want. I wouldn't go too big, but I'm going to go to just an even 5 just to make things easy. You can always go back and, you know, cut this, you decide it's too big and cut it again. The only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be changing the colors of these. So I want the background of the bow, like the back portion, that's going to be my solid black. So I'm just going to make this solid black. And this is so that I can cut it on different colors. Then this initial piece here, like this front piece, that's going to be my sparkle. So we're just going to pick like a charcoal gray. And this bottom piece, we are going to just make black as well. And we'll do the centerpiece. We're going to make this centerpiece the charcoal gray. So we're kind of just going every other. What I am going to do with this section here, though, is I am going to duplicate it because this section is going to go directly around the bow part. But I also need something to create a loop on the backside so that it goes over the straw. So I need to duplicate this piece so that I can use it for the loop in the back. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. I know it was super quick. I will link the other tutorial that I have used, or the tutorial that I've used this template for, so you guys can see how I did it then as well, because I did do a bit of a walkthrough through Cricut Design Space. All right, so now we're going to move on to the assembly process of this little bow template. So I used both faux bow leather pieces, and I did cut this on my Cricut. I changed something I didn't mention when I was going through that part of the tutorial was I did cut this on the faux leather fabric custom cutting setting for my Cricut. And so now to assemble these, they're really quick. So these little like open tabs, you'll see sort of like these weird ends. You're just going to fold them inward. So obviously keeping the backside on the inner portion of the bow, you want the actual texture of the pattern to be on the outside. And then after you've done that with those two larger bow pieces, you're just going to add a bit of hot glue to the center of the larger one and add the smaller one on top. Now, you don't have to use hot glue. I just have always used hot glue on these. You could use super glue, B7000, whatever you're choosing to use as your glue of choice. Something that's a strong glue, not something like Mod Podge, but you could use any strong glue that you have. Then for the little tassel layer on the back, that just kind of goes connected to the back. So I like to add just that layer of glue on the front of that little bow piece, and then stack the actual bow fluff pieces over top of that. Now for these two pieces, this can get a little bit tricky. Not tricky necessarily, but it can get a little bit hard to adhere one to the other. So because I'm using two, I'm putting the first piece down flat actually on the textured side down, because that's going to be the piece that's going to go around the straw. So I wanted to make sure it was going to fit under here without me having to like squeeze it under after I adhere this section. I should have made these two like small sections a little bit longer. That way I had a little bit more play to this section and I wouldn't have to like fight with this to get those two pieces to meet, of course. So I would recommend maybe cutting this just a little bit longer, both of those like straight pieces. That way you don't have to like fight with it and like pull and tug a lot. So once I've gotten that piece done, I'm going to take my straw out because I want to just make sure that this is really going to fit around the straw, but not be too tug and snug that it's not going to be able to go onto the straw, like sliding it on and off. And so my crafting knife is actually about the same width or diameter as the straw. So I just decided to use this as like my guide, in between that section so I could glue the two edges of that final sort of straight edge piece together. Once I've done that, that's really it. I'm just going to go around with my little fabric scissors and just cut off anything weird. I had some frayed pieces from when it was stuck to my strong grip mat, some like glue pieces that I just kind of pulled off, and that was kind of it. So then I just applied this after I put the straw back in the cup. I applied this to the top of the straw, and then I found these cute little straw toppers on Amazon, which I'll link below, and that was it. I just feel like this is so adorable and so cute. It came out better than I could have even ever expected. I hope that you guys enjoyed the tutorial, of course. If you have any thoughts, any questions, any suggestions, anything you want to tell me or share with me, leave those in the comments down below. I love reading your comments and responding to your comments. And definitely join us every Saturday for tutorials. We do a live video premiere and I don't want you guys to miss out. So thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!